Hi, and welcome back to Between Two Peers, a live stream show where the hosts invite a guest from around the known world to answer your pressing questions about life, the universe, and everything. This week is sponsored by, who knows? Our guest supposes his most common go-to is good bourbon or rye neat, though conversely, he does enjoy fruity umbrella drinks, the favorite of which is the chambalada, pina colada with a Chambord floater. I am one half of your original Broadway recording cast, Tulia Alori. I'm from the West Kingdom. I am a Laurel. And I am in my pajamas tonight because I'm just feeling like I really want to cozy up by the fireplace because it's been raining. And so I'm not all super fancy like my two other fabulous people on screen with me. So whatever. Anyway,
you look
moving on. So I'll turn this over to my lovely co-host, Helga.
Hi, I'm Sir Helga. I'm the other half of this original Broadway show. And really, it's definitely turned into a hell of a production. I am a knight, a pelican, and a royal peer from the West Kingdom. And realistically, I'm really loving the rain. Oh my gosh, California needs way more of this. I need it to rain, and I want it to be cold, and I'm happy that winter is here because the heat can go die.
Yes, and a fire.
Even if we only had 3 days of fall.
Yeah, I know we did. It kind of went from summer, fall, winter.
We got basically summer, winter. That's how it's been.
Yep. Yeah. So with that, tonight's guest is Ritter Brion. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. I am Ritter Brion. I, too, am a knight, pelican, and royal peer here in the West Kingdom. I'm a lifelong participant in the SCA. I literally was in gestation when my parents were on the throne of the West Kingdom. So I was born 10 days after they stepped down from their ducal reign.
Cool. Helga?
Oh, shit.
Where'd
Sorry. That's totally me.
I could do it if you want.
Nope, I got it. It's just
welcome to Prime nights. Productions.
I would like to know, this is the reason why we have a live show, so you can just watch us be like, shit, I got stuff to do. So the drinking game, I'm going to remind you of the rules. Also, I'm going to tell you, we're about to change up the drinking game because both my wonderful co-host and I have learned to avoid what is going on. So we're going to change up the rules so we start screwing up more for you. So, but tonight we are going to go by our traditional rules, and I'm probably going to add one at the end because I feel like I can. So, drink whenever a host or guest uses a non-SCA name when referring to somebody else on the show. Drink when somebody says, before I was a peer, in my kingdom, or when I last reigned. Drink when somebody calls for a soapbox. Drink when somebody mentions spite sprinkles. And what? Actually, I'm going to have our guest name the rule of the evening.
The rule of the evening? All right, yep. You didn't prepare me for this.
I just made it up on the spot.
All right, let me think here. All right, any war stories?
Oh, so drink anytime we bring up a war story?
No shit, there I was.
Oh, yeah. All right. So, also, I would like to remind our amazing audience that you can submit questions live in the feed, and we'll hang on to them for either the end of the show, or we will keep them for a later date. So please feel free, if something pops in your head, just type it in that live bar chat and send it to us.
Awesome.
Also, include your SCA name.
Yes, please do that.
We're really trying here. And if it's a difficult to pronounce name, if it causes heralds to stumble, please give us a pronunciation guide. We do our best, but we often fail.
I promise, even if it's easy, I'm probably going to murder it.
I would also like to say, since it sounds like we might be drinking a lot, I would ask my wonderful lady who is listening in the other room to bring me the bottle of rye that I might need to top my glass off with.
All right, are we ready to go to questions?
I'm good to go.
All right, so the very first question for you, Brion. Tell us your SCA origin story.
Oh, geez. Well, I kind of spoke to a little bit in the introduction. I jokingly say I'm the first man to sit the Western thrones without winning crown, as I was in the belly of my mama during their reigns. But Yeah, I grew up in the shadow of some towering names in the SCA. Both my mother and father have put a significant stamp on their participation in the SCA, and they've been a fantastic influence on myself and my life, and it's been great.
Who are your parents?
Duke Paul of Bellatrix is my father. Duchess Carol of Bellatrix is my mother. My father is a knight, royal peer, Pelican, even though he begrudgingly is so. My mother is also a Pelican and a royal peer. Served on the board of directors in its early days, and is largely responsible for things like ITHRA up in AnTir, which is a learning organization, as well as Collegium Caedus down in Caid, which was actually kind of the progenitor of the Collegium system here in the West Kingdom. And they are both fantastic people, and like I said, have had fantastically positive influences on who I am today.
I absolutely love that your origin story is when a knight and a lady fall in love.
Had I been more creative on my feet, that might have been how I put it. Yes.
They love each other very much. And you come from not just two very illustrious SCA figures, but you're related to many others too.
That's true. Yeah. So I feel it important to shout out to my stepmother, Duchess by courtesy, Susan of Bellatrix, who again is an amazing woman and has been a fantastic influence on my life. My brother is Duke Stephan of Bellatrix, and he is father to a whole brood of third generation Bella tribe, if you will.
Yeah, and actually, Christopher of Houghton just chimed in and said that your mother is also responsible for the Queen Carol's Guide, which is
that is correct.
Something that is still passed around.
So yeah, for those who don't know, the Queen's Carol Guide, my mother, God, one of the most generously giving people I've ever met in my life. It was very important to her to help new people in the SCA become integrated and comfortable. And so she, back in the late 70s, early 80s, published the first edition of the Queen Carol's Guide, which was a guide for newcomers. Since then, there have been 3 other editions, I think, the most recent of which was published when she was living in Caid, and is actually still available, though that is probably about 15 years old at this point. So we've been talking about doing an update for it, but I don't think that's happened yet.
Well, it's something that I was given when I first joined the SCA, and I know many, many other people have been as well. And I'll still refer it to newcomers and say, this was kind of the tried and true standard of how to start in the SCA. And it's incredibly valid even now, 40 odd years later.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, even looking at the first editions, there's lots of pertinent information that still holds today. Yeah. Really, the updates are really to talk about the growth of the SCA, the new kingdoms that have come into existence since the first editions and what have you.
Well, one of the other things I wanted to ask too, which kind of ties into your origin story, is you have also reigned as Prince of the Mists twice. Is that right?
Correct.
Yeah. So you're part of that illustrious Bella tribe.
I'm actually, oddly enough, the only Bellatrix to reign as Prince of the Mists.
There you go.
All right, we ready for the next question?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
This one comes from Genevieve.
Genevieve.
I told you, it's the easiest name on the planet. I'm gonna butcher it.
It's okay. She's sweet. She won't.
Yeah, she's very nice about me butchering her name every time, because she submits so many questions to us, and I love when she does. She's got some good questions. You have a unique perspective in the SCA, being brought up in it by illustrious parents. And having traveled the known world, what is one thing you would change about the SCA that you believe would make it better, or would help it survive another 50 years?
Honestly, stop making more kingdoms. I think that the SCA or the local groups that have been in the quote eligibility aspect of becoming kingdom have done so, I think, too hastily. And as a result, a lot of these newer kingdoms become insular. They're a little too small in their size, both population and geography wise. And I think they're suffering as a result, and it becomes less of a motivation to go play outside of your kingdom as well. So for example, recently I was reading something about conversations about Thierry going kingdom up in northern AnTir, and I'm just thinking to myself, just please don't. I know AnTir is a big kingdom, but principalities exist for a reason. I think principalities are a wonderful thing. The fact that the common notion is that a principality has to, its sole purpose is to become a kingdom, I think is really a poor way to think about it. I think the principalities in general do a really nice job of serving the populace from a standpoint of royalty to those more remote areas of a given kingdom.
So do you think that they should actually maybe be making more principalities instead of breaking off into kingdoms?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, principalities are pretty fun.
I agree.
And
here's the thing, and I realize this coming from a West Kingdom perspective. I suppose that
that's a drink.
Yeah. The West Kingdom, while it does have its fair share of good, strong, and well supported baronies, is not a baronial centric kingdom. Mm-hmm. I would say it's actually a principality centric kingdom. Mm-hmm. And I think that the kingdoms that are baronial centric really shy away from principalities, and I think that's actually to their detriment.
Mm. Yeah, that's an interesting take on it. I didn't think I wouldn't have thought about that until now. So next question.
Nope.
Ready? All right. So this one comes from Prince Soren of Oertha, specifically again for you, Brian. As a lifetime member of the SCA, what would be the greatest change you have seen happen in the society?
Well, I absolutely think that getting rid of the ban on women fighting was instrumental. But I hate to state that as my answer, because frankly it dismays me that it was an even issue from the beginning, to be quite honest. I think that as a result of the early ban on female fighters, it's been an uphill battle for female fighters ever since. The SCA was this wonderful offshoot of modern society and the ills that kind of came with it. And they had this beautiful opportunity to say, I don't care about your gender. Come and do all the things that we do to enrich the society. And the fact that it took, almost 10 years to, of the existence of the society for that to change, I think is a real shame. But I'm glad that it finally did. And I think the female fighters and the female knights of the society have really enriched the society as a whole and the fighting community specifically.
Well, you have my vote now. I'm good.
I promise I'm not playing to the hosts here. It's something I truly believe.
No, I think you've always been a huge supporter of. I don't know if you consider yourself a feminist, but I certainly consider you a feminist. As a feminist, I recognize you.
I like to think so, but I have a hard time as a man saying that I'm a feminist. But
feminism's for everybody.
Fair enough.
It's a whole
thing.
Enough. It's fine. I say so it's okay. No. As the arbiter of all things feminism, no. But no, it is something that is not just relegated specifically to the female identifying. But one of the things I was trying to say is that you've always been a champion for women's rights within the society. So that's something that I can speak to, having known you and seen the way that you actively support women in the SCA.
I'm glad that is recognized. Thank you.
Well, I wouldn't be friends with you if you weren't. So.
And nor would I expect you to be.
No. All right.
So are we ready for the next question? Because we're going to roll into the group questions.
Okay.
All right. This one comes from Ro. Have you ever tried condoms? Would you?
Are we talking like lambskin or whatever?
Sheep
So
intestines.
originally they actually used like the colon,
Okay.
because then there's no exit. There's no like tie off or exit or anything else like that. So you got like one condom per sheep.
No, I have not. But it's an interesting thought.
For academic purposes.
I will say though, so as a teenager, one of the first metalwork things I started doing was chainmail. And I was sort of a long-haired rocker punk, leather jacket wearing guy. And so I made this like a piece of chainmail for the epaulette on my leather jacket. And it was actually a trial to play with a different type of chainmail, 6-in-1 versus 4-in-1. And I'm like, you know what? If I just put a cap on this, it could be a little chainmail condom.
I doubt, well, no, I shouldn't say I doubt someone has ever actively worn that during sex.
No.
I am pretty sure someone out there has done that.
Well, fair enough. But
human beings, what they are.
I did not put it to use, but I just thought to myself,
Well, you can stuff it and make it a cod piece.
There you go.
Well, I suppose I could do that. I have made the, odd chainmail bikini from here and there. It's about as close as I've gotten to a cod piece.
My brain just put you in a chainmail bikini, and that is just seared in there forever now.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So, Miss Sassy, your answer?
All right. So mine is no. And well, like I said, for academic purposes, sure, what the heck? I'm in a monogamous relationship and I have no uterus. So it's not like the end result is going to be anything. But I'm adventurous, right? Yeah, I don't know. Like, sure, why not? Why the hell not? Live a little. I'll wear a, well, then again, I should say I'm not the one who has to wear it. So maybe
technically they're washable until they wear out.
Yeah, I know. There was actually a really funny scene in the miniseries Desperate Romantics where it's not in the American version of it. By the way, you have to watch the British version. It's where Dante Gabriel Rossetti is madly searching for a condom, and and he brings it out. He tries to give it to his friend and say, like, here you go. And like, it's in this box. It's in like a nice box.
I like the description of madly searching for a condom because, I don't know about you, but I've certainly been there.
Yeah, well, yeah, but the thing is that he wanted to make sure that his friend had it. And so it was just like, just wash it out afterwards. It'll be fine. Like,
okay, so there was just actually like a ring busted for that.
Oh my God.
Like where they were washing and repackaging condoms, because condoms, when they're processed, they see.
I heard about that.
Yeah, it's that is terrible. Like,
I learned about that.
You do not. There's no such thing as a gently used condom.
Not wash and wear, guys.
Yeah, it is not a wash and wear. This is not okay. Like, hardcore.
Okay, well, how about you, Helga?
I have not. I've used the sheepskin condoms, but I haven't used a like technical like period built condom. I would totally try it as long as it didn't smell like sheep, because sheep smells like ass.
That's totally true.
Not okay with sheep.
Yeah.
And so as long as it didn't have the funky sheep odor, sure, why not? Like, as everybody said, for science.
Yeah, right?
So the question is, do you have Velcro gloves, Helga?
Velcro.
Okay, we're not getting into this conversation because the answer is yes.
Let's not go there.
I'm not even giving you context as
to why. But you shot one sheep.
I have never fucked a sheep.
Fair enough.
Ladies and gentlemen, Between Two Peers, where we answer.
I was about to say, there's been some weird shit I've done because I was a ranch girl, but that doesn't count. There was nothing sexual about what occurred.
So you say.
Nope. Hard no.
There's a giant misunderstanding.
I was about to say, does it have 4 legs and doesn't actually speak? Not interested in sexually. That's not my kink at all. I have a lot of kinks. I'm a little fucking weird too. No, we're gonna be the same species.
All right, shall we go to the next question?
Well, of course we should.
All right, and I know I'm gonna butcher your name, and I apologize. Angelin, I believe that's how it's pronounced, asks what position or role that you have held in the SCA Baron, Baroness, officer, peer, royal, role model, hosts of this show, etc., has felt like the biggest burden of responsibility, and why?
That's an easy one. Kingdom Earl Marshal.
Really?
Yeah. And my lady can speak to this quite thoroughly. There was not one event I attended while I was Earl Marshal where I was able to set up our camp unfettered.
Mm.
As soon as I hit site, there was no less than 2 or 3 people coming to, what's the site rules for, this war, or, what's the, can I get a fighter card, or we got this thing coming up, what do you plan to do with it? Yeah, it was it's something I wanted to do for some time, and I thought it might lead to me pursuing the society marshalate.
Mm.
But after a couple of years of being Kingdom Earl Marshal, and then rolling into directly after that Marshal in charge of West Kingdom 50th Beltane, and then fighting Marshal at 50 year, it was quite a series of tasks to deal with, and it really shot my anxiety level up to the roof.
Wow. Yeah, I remember when you were Earl Marshal, it was not a lot of fun. There was not a lot of joy.
I also had one of our queens, who shall remain nameless, but she was one of your lord's queens, who was quite frequently, texting me and messaging me for various questions and answers and what have you. And that was not uncommon of my role.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I never want to serve another kingdom level at all. But that'll be my answer in a second. Helga, would you like to answer?
So I have a long-term and a short-term answer.
Okay.
So the long-term answer is the position role is basically being a knight right now. Actually, the chivalry themselves are growing a lot. We're going through it. Like the SCA itself is going through a huge growth phase, like huge, where we're starting to draw lines in the sand. And the chivalry is held because we are the most visible of all the peerages. We are out there and everything else like that. Also, we're the most hero worshipped, to sound slightly egotistical on this process. That
seems drink worthy, by the way.
Yeah, this is probably drink worthy. Because that's the hardest role for me right now, because there's no room to slip up and mess up, because there has been a lot of bad things that have gone on in the name of the chivalry, and there's been a lot of kind of like you sweep it under the rug and you kind of keep this heroic ideal of what the chivalry are, which has come to a head in the current mundane society. It is now put extra pressure on the knights to also be fucking better. Actually, like, I'm totally cool with this be fucking better thing, but it means that also when you have really good knights, they're kind of held up as like this weird ideal and standard of what a knight should be, and I know many people in that place, and I do not envy them for it, actually. And so I would say that right now in my like society role, is the hardest one is to be a knight, because I really want to see the chivalry better. I really want to see the peerages all better. For all the changes we're going through. We're going through generational shifts, and I want to see us survive it and thrive in it and be those heroes that everybody wants to be. So yeah. Short-term answer, I was a guard captain where I fired all the guard members because a queen threatened to slap me. And so I took the rest of the guard and I took all their baldricks back. And I was her only guard member for the rest of the reign. Because no one should ever be that abusive to their guard. And I almost quit the SCA when I was done with it. I was so angry and so fed up and so tired, because I was making every event, and then I'd get some really super shitty stuff out of this individual, and it came down to this person never disclosed that they were bipolar and they were unmedicated. And so 50% of the time, life was great. She was amazing. And the other 50% of the time, I sat there and got threatened to my face that I'd get slapped. And all I could say was, that would be your prerogative, Your Majesty. Because one makes the show go. And as guard captain, you make the show go. And so I made sure that messes were cleaned up and that she was in a position to not screw up. But I was tired when I was done, and I was full of anger when I was done. And so that was a big growth experience for me, because I couldn't punch the individual in the face.
You mind if I interject here for a moment?
Sure.
Yeah.
So this speaks to a little bit of Genevieve's question earlier on about how I would improve the SCA. And this is probably more of a West Kingdom comment here, because I don't really have a clear picture of how the guards work in other kingdoms. But I will say this, having served on multiple guards before I was knighted, a few times as captain as well, and having a little historical perspective, it really bothers me how the guardsmen in the West Kingdom, at least, and probably other kingdoms as well, have become the royal lackeys.
Yeah.
And that was really not the intent of the guard when it was first created. The guard was created in essence, reporting to the queen, is so that they could learn the more courtly graces of the SCA and of historical pursuits and what have you. And the fact that they become the royal lackeys is really a disservice to all those you, as a queen or king and queen, decide to make guardsmen. And in historical times, it was actually more common for the household of the king and queen to provide the labor, if you will, to do things like set up the royal pavilion or set up the list field or what have you, at a given event. And the guards folk were intended to basically attend the queen in all matters, so they understand how those courtly graces were performed. And I think that if we found a way to come back to the original intent, we'd find a much more, I see your hand, we'd find a much more productive fashion in helping teach our younger fighters, our younger aspirants to knighthood. Go ahead. What were you going to say there?
Oh, I'm going to pour a drink for this one because I understand that this is a soapbox.
Bring it on.
Miss Sassy, before we go along, I realize that Brian and I have gone on a tangent. Do you wish to answer before I go on my weird soapbox?
No, I actually wish you would do your soapbox and then I will come back and answer.
Okay, so we're just going to count drinks. I need somebody to hold up in the crowd. Please count drinks that this soapbox is going to go on, because I'm going to say when I reigned, probably a couple times. And this is, I do not want to discount the unbelts or the guard members of this kingdom at all. And I don't want to sound like I was owed, and it's still going to come across that way. And this is a very hard conversation to have because it's a very raw conversation to have. The peers of the West have kind of abandoned the crown. We don't have big households anymore. Yep. If we as peers want the guards to not be treated as lackeys, I never once had the guards set up my pavilions. I made sure that I got on site before them so they wouldn't, because I knew that was a thing that they had been used for. But still getting the royal up in the air and everything else like that. The peers of this kingdom will sit and watch it happen. And then they will bitch that the guard members are used in that manner. If we want to change that, we as capable-bodied individuals need to step up and take on that role, because we don't have large households anymore. We don't have that gap that was once, needs to be then filled by the peers of this realm that know all of that. And I think that will actually fix the problem. But we all need to have that conversation and say, yes, we as peers are going to step into this role and continue to support the crown, because it's not actually really there. And I don't want to discount the amount of people that give their time to the crown. I want to be very, very clear. Yes. There are so many people that give so much time to the crown, but a lot of the manual labor has fallen to our guard because we aren't teaching each other to step into those roles when they're available. We have all allowed the guard to consume that role, and then none of us have been taught differently. I am of the generation, I've been playing for 16 years now. I'm of the generation that is the norm. I don't know any different. And so I would actually ask before events, hey, the royal's going to be there. So-and-so, I call Leotolf and Fergus and all them and be like, hey, can you please make sure that you're here to help set up the royal? Because more hands, they go up faster. And I think if we actually culturally address that and changed it, we would see that guard get to go back into the role.
So one of the things that I tried to do when I last reigned was
hang on, I think we're at 4 right now.
Right. Was encourage my princess to encourage her guardsmen to take on a leadership role. Not just go and say, hey, guardsmen, let's set up the royal pavilion, but to go out into the populace and assemble a crew to provide that leadership that is necessary for what they're aspiring to then assemble people to set up the royal pavilion, to set up the list field, to set up the, arts and sciences pavilion, to set up the, martial pavilion and all those kinds of things. And that to me is really a better aspect of what you're trying to instill in your guards folk.
And I feel so worried that people are going to be like, but I give a bunch of time to the crown. Yes, I'm actually talking about the people that don't. I want to be really clear here because I was super nervous about that. Like really, really nervous about that answer.
No, you're totally right. There are people who give tirelessly of their efforts and their time. And those clearly are not the people we're speaking of. And I'm not trying to call anybody out in particular. I'm just saying that
it's a cultural thing that we need to
do. The guardsmen are not there to, serve your logistical whims. They're there to learn. They're there to understand. They're there to become part of the greater culture of the SCA. And if you're just relegating them to grunt work, that's not going to accomplish that goal.
I think that there's kind of a maybe a merging of two mentalities, because in the chat comments on the YouTubes, Duchess Juana chimed in and said that the guard should really be considered like the queen squires, which I can totally jive with that. But the other part of it though is that a lot of times squires get used like manual labor, and it becomes a squire put my pavilion up, squire polish my armor, squire like that kind of stuff. And the joke of course is if you're doing a laborious task and you're a knight, well, you got to get better squires, right? So they do the task and not you. And it's sort of a joke. And there is an aspect to learning how to care for your armor, learning how to, have a good presentation. All of these things are important and need to be taught and learned hands-on. But don't think of them just as slave labor, which I think sometimes that line gets crossed with knights and squires that I've seen.
There's a fine line between teaching somebody something and just making them do it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So it is one thing to be like, let's all pitch in to help set up the royal pavilion and get the thrones put together and all of that, which I think since really that exists for the kingdom, for us, all of us to appreciate, that should be something that everyone should feel ownership about in helping to set up and all of these things. And yes, in the West Kingdom, it really is right now. It's kind of they're the crew, the setup crew and the teardown crew for all of the royal shit that gets put up and taken down. And that is actually not in their job description. And it is, I think, a cultural thing that we should work on. We should be better about. And I'm not sure when it happened, but it must have been within the last 15 years or so.
It's been longer than that.
Really?
This is something that I've been railing against since at least the 80s.
Now, is it the same with principality reigns?
Yes.
Is it? Okay. So the Principality Guard also does that. Okay. Yeah.
So a little bit of inner kingdom anthropology.
Mm-hmm.
It was absolutely shocking to visit the Outlands. So the Outlands culture is not, so the guards are there to they're on you, it's insane. I got assigned guards and I couldn't shake them. I was like, shit, and you have a cheese plate? You'll fit in my bag, you're coming home with me.
So I have to tell you, that is fine. I'm totally cool with that. I mean, the guards folks should be on you like white on rice.
Oh yeah, well, but this is the difference. Is so when the royalty showed up to the event, because we got there really, really early, and then the royalty showed up, is literally the entire event stopped. And so it wasn't just the guards, it wasn't the court, it was literally all of the event just stopped for a moment. They went over, they handled the royals, including setting up a pavilion and like just unloading the car. Here you are, you're all done, you are now set up. And then they like literally as just a kingdom, they all like mobbed over there, dealt with it, and then went back. And they dealt with the royal pavilion the same and the Eric the same. It was literally like the entire event just stopped. Everybody did it real quick. It took like 15 minutes. And then the event went rolling again. It was insane to watch, but it's definitely very culturally ingrained. Because we had a bunch of Outlanders visit our crown and just losing their mind that I'm hawking around canvas as queen and like this tent goes here and this tent goes here and like I'm swinging a hammer and they were like, ha, 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 ha. Like they're all losing their minds about it. It was really, really cute. But it was kind of a culture shock for me then turning around and visiting them and seeing that. I'm like, oh, well that's, and I even asked him, I was like, do you not have any people that dislike you? And he's like the king's sitting there and he's like, oh no, like I don't get along with that entire household over there, but that entire household is setting up the Eric because they're setting it up for the kingdom.
Yeah.
So it was really cool to see.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I think that the West is always very blasé about anyway. That we take it for granted. I feel that that's a cultural thing.
We do.
The West.
And that really bugs me.
Yeah, it bugs me too. It bugs me a lot. And there's so many more, there's so many more like tangents from this conversation that I could go off on right now.
Yeah.
But I want to bring it back to.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. Like, I want to say this thing. I want to tell this story.
But yeah, the answer to the question, if I can get a reminder, what was it? It was, the most difficult role or position in all of my years in the SCA. I don't like responsibility. I'm responsibility adverse. I just want to be in my little corner doing my weird little thing and hanging out with my weird little people. And like, that is as much pressure on my life as I can possibly handle. But I always inevitably, because I don't know, maybe it's a Capricorn thing. I'm a Capricorn. It's an A-type personality thing because I am also an A-type personality. But there is at a certain point, I cannot help but get involved at a higher level than what I intrinsically want to be at. And my first taste of that was when I was the Bard of Sinagua when I was 18. I won the Bard of Sinagua. Sinagua, for those who are not familiar with Western principalities, is a principality in the West Kingdom, and it is a great honor to serve as the Bard of Sinagua. It is a year-long office. It is a lesser office. It was briefly a greater office under my reign, my tenure, I should say, under my tenure. And that was part of the reason why it was a very difficult thing for me, little 18-year-old me, to navigate, because it was a huge political shift for Sinagua to make this particular office a greater office, because the Miss Bard is a greater office. It was politics. It was this whole thing where the Principality of the Mist has a greater office. Well, Sinagua needs to be the same, but then half of Sinagua was like, we don't want to be the same as the Mist. We want to be ourselves. And there was me in the middle, just like, I didn't ask for any of this. This is my
I have some history on that for you, by the way, after you're done.
Okay. But that was my first introduction to responsibility and politics in the SCA. And I was just like, I'd been in the SCA for 3 years at that point. I was a teenager. I had no real life skills. And I just like, never again. And it kept me away from having another office or holding another office, except for a brief stint of a very, very minimally active shire when I was in undergrad. I was their seneschal for like a hot second. And, but other than that, I haven't served as a kingdom level officer or a principality level officer since the Bard of Sinagua incident in the mid-90s. And I now am kingdom social media officer, which is a lesser office, right? In fact, I'm actually considered kind of a deputy to the suddenly blanking on it. It's a C word. Not that C word though. But anyways, point is though that there's a lot of responsibility now that goes into this, and it was a pretty mellow office when I took it, because really all you really do is sort of copy and paste the information from the newsletter onto Facebook. You make a Facebook event about it, and then you press go, and then the Facebook, anyone who's on Facebook now can see the same information that's in the newsletter or on the Kingdom calendar. They all match up, and that was fine. That was completely fine. I moderated the Kingdom Facebook page, Facebook group. We are very, very chill in the West Kingdom. We don't actually have a lot of controversial type conversations that pop up on Facebook in the group. So it was a very easy job initially until COVID hit. And suddenly all we're doing is online interaction. And I am now just like, the rest of my life is completely crazy for, various levels of crazy. And on top of that, now I am asked to do so much more than what that position originally entailed. And I kind of had a freak out about it for probably pretty much the entire summer. This past summer, I kind of deputized another person to handle some of the more important things, while I just, curled in a fetal position in the corner for the most part. And I'm starting to feel a little like I can come back to it now and I can re-engage and be energetic about it. But that was just not what I signed up for. And I think all of the social media, Kingdom social media people can completely sympathize at this point. That we did not originally intend to become the people who are facilitating your SCA experience online. And that is a lot. But I have a great boss. She was on last week. That was our Baroness Anne. And she's our society social media officer, and she's fantastic. And she's been super understanding about all of this. So Brion, what is your story about the Bard of Sinagua Greater Office, Lesser Office?
Right. So, the last time I reigned, excuse me, I'm grabbing a drink.
I just took a drink. Jeez.
I'm gonna need another drink.
I got an earful from our predecessors talking about the Bard of the Mists. And the story was, at some feast or other, the Bard of the Mists, for them, had insisted upon their written by law right to sit next to them during some royal feast. As a result, the princess was not able to sit next to the prince. And I was like, what the heck? What's the deal with this? So I dived into the principality laws and read them a bit. And in fact, that was a right given to the Bard of the Mists by the laws. And so I did a little bit more research. And apparently the person who wrote the laws regarding the Bard of the Mists had took some period texts as source material for these laws.
Yeah.
And basically in the notion of ceremonial aspects and a number of other things, put a lot of emphasis on the bard over the princess and a number of other things, of course. And this really bothered me. The problem is, as a part of our investiture ceremony, these rights and privileges afforded to the bard were included in the investiture ceremony as a whole. So when we stepped up, we intended to change these laws to make them less impactful for the royalty. But the problem was, since it was part of the investiture ceremony, we begun the investiture ceremony and had to stop, make a law change while we were there in court, and then reopen the investiture ceremony and then continue on.
Was that your first reign?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it was my second reign.
It was your second reign. Wow, that late into.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was our predecessors who looked at us and said, "You have to fix this."
I mean, and this is a bit of a tangent and a bit of like digging deep in West Kingdom history. The one of the issues that was super contentious when I was Bard of Sinagua, I get to drink.
That's good enough.
Was
water on that one.
And it was very briefly a greater office. Was one of the things that was trying to be done was to make it a parallel to the Mist Bard. And the Mist Bard, it was a well-known fact that the Mist Bard got to sit to the left but they always interpreted it, as far as I know, it was always sat to the left of the princess. So it was like prince, princess, bard. And so, but really, because that was something that when I was Bard of Sinagua, I got to actually sit to the left of the princess. That was actually, maybe that was actually specified because the mists messed up and didn't specify.
Apparently the laws in regards to the Bard of the Mists was written from some period manuscript.
It was I think it was taken out of the Irish bardic tradition, if I'm not mistaken.
And while I applaud the efforts of she who put these laws into play, I won't speak to them specifically. It just didn't work for the modern incarnation of the SCA and the application of those laws.
Yeah. Well, that was a fun deviation into some beautifully little Western history.
I was going to say, that question went into like a deviation about guard, reigning, and the bards. So I think we all just need to like drink to that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Also, by the way, anybody playing along at home? So we're ready for the next question?
Yeah, and it's on you, Helga.
This one comes from Princess Sarah.
Yay!
Who is a motherfucking delight, by the way.
Is she ever?
Tell me about your SCA bromance.
Jeez.
Too many.
God, may I count the ways?
I was gonna say, I think you have so many.
I do. I'll go with my more recent one. I would say Duke Al-Anon.
He's a good dude.
That dude is like the chillest guy I've ever met in my life.
He is such a cool dude.
I met him when I was living in the Mid-Realm, and frequently various events, including Gulf Wars and what have you. He is quite possibly the kindest man I've ever met. And yet he is a badass on the field. So yeah, I will say Al-Anon is my man crush.
I actually second that, but that's not actually the question. Because although when I first got to meet him, was just at this past Estrella. Super nice guy.
Yeah,
the nicest guy.
Yeah.
Seriously though.
Seriously, like almost to a fault.
I know, right? Like, how are you even real? You're just
exactly.
Yeah.
How is he real?
But of course his lady wife is also very, very nice.
Honestly, I've never actually, to my knowledge at least, never met his lady.
Oh yeah, super nice people.
My
bromance. Well, let me see. I would actually have to say that if we're going with the oh, Brion. Oh, Brion. I honestly, okay, so if we're talking about bromance is like an intense friendship between two guys, right? Yes. Well, I'm going to take the same. I'm going to apply it to an intense friendship between two women, and I am going to say Helga. Helga's my bromance.
Aww.
Yeah, just really.
So squishy.
I'm also
I have had there are many wonderful women I know who I have such deep bonds with, but the one that took me so surprised out of like left field, did not expect it whatsoever, was Helga. And that was like the moment that we kind of like sat down and we started actually talking, and we super clicked, and it was like, no way. So I don't know, maybe that's my answer. Yeah,
It wasn't just me losing my mind when you said you liked watching me fight.
I love watching you fight. God damn, she's so much fun to watch. You guys,
I much prefer watching her fight when I'm on the other side of the field from her.
Exactly. Well, and there's so many people who have seen Helga fight now, because she fights, of course, monthly on Corpo and in other videos and stuff that have shown up on the internet. But you should really be in person when she's fighting, because it is just, it's giggles and laughing, and it's she's having a great time. And
I laugh a lot when I fight.
Yeah, she does. It's a lot of fun. Somebody who really enjoys what they're doing, and I am attracted to people who enjoy what they're doing. So
I was about to say, it is sanctioned violence against my friends.
Yes. And I like that about you. All right, so you're in.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to skip over the two obvious ones and go with one that nobody can fucking guess, actually. And so the two obvious ones would be both my co-host Sarah, because she is my co-host.
Oh, you use my mundane name.
I fucking adore the shit out of her.
Right.
You use my mundane name, you ding dong.
That's how deep our bromance goes.
Mm-hmm.
And of course I have to, mention my Wonder Twin, because he is my motherfucking Wonder Twin, Anton. Like, that's a bromance. Like, we met and we were like, oh, we're the same creature. I just have boobs and you have a cock. Oh, this is bad. And so I'm gonna mention my bromance, Griffith, out of the Outlands. And he is 5 foot nothing of fuck around and find out.
Sounds like I get along with him.
Oh yeah, so he's a left-handed Madu fighter that laughs more than I do in armor.
Oh, so a cheater. With the left-handed thing.
Just learn how to fight him, Brian.
A dirty cheater.
No. Oh, I know how to fight him. Left-handed fighters are cheaters nonetheless.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the Madu, and I was like, just learn how to fight it? So...
I told you earlier, my brother likes to fight with Madu, right?
Oh, yeah, no... Visiting the Outlands on a regular basis, I have had the in-depth course of having my ass kicked by Madus until I was like, oh, control the lower point, then control the upper point, slots, wraps don't work. Great, cool, we're just rolling on from there. But enough fighter geeking for a moment. So Griffith out there is like, so he's my same height, so it's like 5'5" of fuck around and find out. And he and I get in peals of laughter when we're fighting each other. Also, we believe that our steaks should be cooked the same way. We eat our tacos the same. We order the same drinks at the bar because we both believe in bitch drinks. We like the same snack foods, and we both make Bela just like throw his hands up and march out of the room. And over the same
that
shit.
In and of itself should be like, the end of it.
Oh yeah, like, and so like it is sport when him and I are around. And also he's enough of my bromance that I will actually go running at like 7,000 feet with him and proceed to cuss him out the entire time that we are jogging along. But now it's an ego trip for me because he trains there on a normal basis, and then I show up from Flatlanderville and then hang out with him for like a week at a time, and he proceeds to kick my ass, but I'm stubborn enough to keep going.
Dude,
so he's my bromance, and he is my fucking bud out in the Outlands. And if you ever get a chance to hang out with him, seriously hang out with him. He is a rabble-rousing ball of fucking chaos and delight.
So I have to say, I attended an Outlands coronation, and then the following day we did a Queen's Champion tournament. And although I didn't fight in the tournament, I went to go fight like buys or whatever. And it was in Los Alamos, New Mexico, like 7,000, elevation. And I'm talking to these guys, and I'm like, did you ever wonder why we're always the last people to be fighting in the pickup fields out of Estrella? I'm like, not anymore. That is some serious shit, fighting at elevation.
Oh yeah, it's great. Like the first time I was in the Outlands fighting at elevation, like
great.
No, it's awesome. It's the best training. Go to where you're going to fail and then continue to train there.
I don't like failing.
You gotta fail.
That's how you get better.
Yeah.
I hear you, but I still don't like it.
No, nobody likes it. I mean, okay, maybe.
Okay, I'm
like,
fucking weird. Like, if I start getting a certain level of success, I will then go find the next fail point. If I'm getting too much success, it means that I'm not fighting or training hard enough.
Dude, I fought in like 4 fights that event, and I felt like I fought an entire war.
Cardio wins crown?
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah, cardio pretty much wins everything, sex and fighting.
I hate cardio. Well,
Well,
I'm not fighting crown. So
with that, since we've gone on a tangent again,
yeah,
I swore I heard the distant splashing.
We have a taco.
Uh-oh.
Taco about a party. Okay, we're gonna do that.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have been on a taco theme. The
I
lady
make
of the
really
lake
good tacos,
asks,
by the way.
what do you think unicorn farts smell like?
Oh, I know what it is for
Cotton
sure.
candy.
She also says, I think I'm funny.
You are funny, Lady of the Lake. You are incredibly funny. So Brian, you think it's cotton candy?
Yes.
I think it's this particularly cloying perfume, like the cheap perfume you find in
Macy's?
drugstore. Yeah, like maybe not even maybe Macy's even. Macy's level.
JC Penney.
It's the kind of perfume that hits my olfactory senses and immediately gives me a migraine. That's what unicorn farts are. So, it's cloyingly sweet. It is just like rainbow colored, of course, and sparkly, because it would be very pretty, but cloyingly sweet and give me a migraine. That's what that is. Helga?
I only have a smartass answer to this.
Well, that's all you need.
What? No, really?
Never.
Shocking.
So I was known as the unicorn princess. So I'm just gonna answer from my own personal experience that either
I don't want to know what your farts smell like.
It is either scentless or like a dog dug up a dead body and then presented it to you. There's no in between.
You don't need to know about that.
Okay, unpopular opinion, by the way.
Yeah.
Pegasus are way cooler than unicorn.
No,
go fuck yourself.
I agree with Brian. I agree.
No, Brian, I'm sorry. Next time we fight, we're throwing down over this.
All right, bring it.
Bring it. Claim dominance over what's cooler.
I may have to come down for Grupo then.
You get your cardio on.
Yeah, right.
When it is safe. When it is safe.
I've had enough contact with Hansa. I could probably manage Grupo.
Sadly, we're not opening Grupo.
Yeah,
we can't because then
right now.
That's fair.
That's from the Angels and our household. Just because as soon as we open it for one, then we're gonna have it's denying more people in a time of hard need.
You don't have to explain more.
Oh no, we're on video now. I had to for a moment.
Yeah. So next question. Oh, commercial break. Oh my god, I didn't even have to go to the bathroom.
You should still go to the bathroom just because.
I should actually. Okay. All right.
Longshift Luxury Goods is your one-stop shop for all your Viking needs. From clothing to feast gear and everything in between, we are the place to shop. Leather pouches, Viking long coats, chemises, drinking horns, flasks, potion bottles, knives, bone cups, and so much more. Please visit our website, longshipluxurygoods.com. Thanks for listening.
Miscellaneous Etc. makes custom machine embroidery and garb. From patches to horse barding, nothing is too large or too small. How about a heraldic mask or banner? Maybe a new cloak or hood? Livery for your entire household? Badges of office? Miscellaneous Etc. can do it all. You can find them on Facebook at MISC-ETS4, that is MISCETC, and the number 4. Miscellaneous Etc., where imagination meets reality.
Welcome back.
I was about to say, welcome back. We're bam!
Yay!
I almost dropped your mundane name.
Yeah, I have to, usually when I'm up there and it takes me a while, it's because I'm talking to Thorfinn about something. So yeah, we had a whole conversation up there.
Nice.
That's it.
All right, so are we ready for the next question?
Let us do the next question.
It
By the
is
way,
all you.
Thorfinn says hi. Brion.
What was that?
I said Thorfinn says hi.
Well, tell him I said fuck you back.
Okay. He'll get it though, because I mean he's
Yes,
watching
he
it
will.
right now. So those two have a history. Roommate.
We
brother.
have lived together twice now.
I know. So you know what I deal with on a daily basis.
Yes, I do.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So next question is from Luxia. Do you think being a member should be a requirement to become authorized to fight?
No.
Why?
I don't feel that pay to play is a way to encourage the growth of this society.
Okay. Helga?
I am literally just going to make the same mouth words Brian did and say that we should not be limiting potential. I think that we should be, membership should be for crown tournaments and, any hatted tournament. And beyond that, authorize them. Make sure that our insurance covers unauthorized non-member fighters, which it already does, and then go along from there. Because requiring a membership would have made it so me as a teen couldn't have fought.
Yep.
Because I couldn't have afforded that every year.
If you think about it, our best potential for growth of new membership is from a college point of view. And college members, college participants, college students are historically broke as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
And if
Baby
you
Ninja
say,
is doing this.
yeah, right.
Now.
If you say that you have to be a paid member to fight, to receive awards, I even kind of waffle on the hold office thing. I think there should be the fewest possible barriers to entry in almost anything we do in the SCA.
And I mean, so I'll answer the question, which is kind of a non-answer, which is I don't have a leg in this race. So I'm really not one way or the other. It doesn't affect me. But I appreciate everyone's arguments for and or against. But most people I know are against the idea for the reasons that these two have both stated. But and where was I? I was going to go on to a second. This is a good sign. I have actually gotten to the tipsy stage because I can't keep track of where my thoughts are going. Oops. But yeah, I will say that. Oh, right, about membership. The technicality, of course, is that what we consider membership is not actually membership. We're not really
correct.
members. We are what is it called? Supporting. It's a distinction. What we and I can't.
The only members of the SCA are the board of directors.
Right, the only members of the board of directors, and that is, legal reasons and all of that for why. But so in a sense, if we're not actually all members, then why do we privilege membership for things like holding offices? And we have this construction around this psychological construction around membership, that means that, you know, you have a buy-in. When you pay your membership dues, you own a piece of it in a sense. And it's not really true. Yeah, exactly. It's not really true. So yeah, we would have to overhaul all of the membership.
I will say this. Back in, I don't know what AS it was, but it was in the 90s. There was a big push for pay to play.
Mm-hmm.
And there was an Australia war where virtually every kingdom of the SCA was represented by royalty, whether it be sitting royalty or heirs. And I was very happy as a young, upcoming, you know, unbelted fighter to say, oh, all you kingdoms are represented by your royalty. I'm going to challenge all of you to a fight.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from that, I see no, you know, advantage to pay to play.
Yeah.
It actually came up in the chat, and I'm just going to bring this up because, well, we're really kind of going away from fighting membership and kind of like the pay to play idea. So do you guys want to chase down this rabbit hole a little bit or no?
Sure. Yeah.
Brian, you good?
I'm sorry, what was that again?
Do you want to chase down the rabbit hole of pay to play, or shall we move on to the next thing?
No, let's move on. I think pay to play is kind of a power play that should not be supported.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed. And so one of the things that actually came up in this, because I'm going to drag us into this real fast, is somebody actually posted, insurance needs to be covered though. Should members be paying for non-members? And my unequivocal answer is yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we should. Those that can, should, so our society can continue building. And it's a pay it forward thing. Is if we invest in our non-members and we keep 1 out of 10 non-members that then becomes a paying member, it's actually a weird reverse pyramid scheme. And it works.
Yep.
I mean,
and let's look at the first tournament, right? We're talking about a collection of fantasy and science fiction writers and college students all gathering together to create this counterculture to the modern society.
Mm-hmm.
If you take that concept and play it forward to, you know, 50 plus years later,
mm-hmm.
why would we say, hey, those who cannot afford cannot play?
I mean, I go back to those early days and the stories that I've heard of it, where they, you know, you would pass the collection hat around basically at events, and it would be people would be dropping in like, you know, a quarter or like $1 if they had it, and then it would fall to someone like I think, and I could be wrong, but my memory is that it was someone like Fleeg who had a real job, who would just like write a check, you know, drop it in. And so, you know, he's one of these examples, or this example of the one person that had the real job that could afford to carry the others and elevate all of them. And so it really is an example of rising tide lifts all boats.
And I think it's worth speaking his name again, Duke Frederick of Holland, as Duke we Frederick, know him in the West as Fleeg.
Yeah.
Is the progenitor of the West Kingdom Welcoming Society, Welcoming Committee, which is a way in which we donate to help those who come to the society, come to events, and want to participate, but are not members. Mm-hmm. We pay for their non-member surcharge. Yep. And of all the things that Fleeg has done, all the things that Duke Frederick has done, this function is, I think, probably his greatest achievement.
Mm-hmm. I think so too, and I think it just goes back to that unconscious, maybe conscious, unconscious desire to just keep it going because you could. You know, it's a delicate thing, and especially in the early years, it could fail at any moment. And if you have the means, kick down. And so that's how I feel about it when I walk in to an event and I pay my, you know, $20 or whatever, and it's $25 for a non-member. And then I put my, you know, $5 in the West Kingdom Welcoming Committee fund, and some, you know, new person walks in, can pay what I pay, and I've helped them just a little bit, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I will tell you, as one of the kids that benefited from that program, thank you very much. Everybody that paid into that,
Yeah.
you made it so me and like 12 other teens could event. Because we would literally collect cans to go to events. We would pay for our fuel that way, we would pay for our gate that way, and then we would split a jar of peanut butter amongst ourselves. Like, that's how we got to events, and that's how crazy we were. 2 of us are knights now. 2 of us are royal peers. A bunch of us are still contributing members. Everybody pays for a membership now because other people did that for us. And as I said,
let me put it this way. The SCA is never, ever going to exist and thrive without the contribution of newer and younger members.
Mm-hmm.
If we put in this barrier to participation at the very basic level, that effort is completely devoid.
I feel like there's another like tangent that we could go here, another rabbit hole that is really that, you know, we're in competition with LARPs that have an even lower financial bar for
barrier to entry
than what we do. And so we have a fairly high, like it's funny because like when I joined the SCA, it still really wasn't that high. And even then, you know, you go back 20, 30 years before that to the beginning years of the SCA, and it was, you know, whatever you could strap to your body with duct tape.
Dude,
you know.
all right. Let me just say,
it's so hard.
My dad, who is one of the, you know, progenitors of our fighting culture, one of his early suits of armor was literally a, you know, hand painted and bias tape edged carpet armor.
Yeah, carpet armor. Yeah.
Hans was telling me and showed me a photo of him in like carpet armor, and I'm like, you're like
Freon helm,
carpet
armor,
and he's some like super famous Duke now. Like he's that dude that people are like, oh my god, Hans is here, and I'm like, yes.
Yeah,
and only you knew.
And as we've grown, because we've been around for so long, and this is a good thing about the SCA, is we've been around for 56 years, 56 and a half, and we, so my boyfriend likes to say that we are the granddaddy of LARP. We can equivocate about that, but you know, basically, LARP started after the SCA was a thing, and it was kind of, there was a little bit of a drawing on of what the SCA
for sure
was established and doing. So I don't know if we'd have things like Nero or Dagger here if we didn't have the SCA. But the thing is, though, that those, especially like when we're talking Dagger here, is that they have such a low financial bar for entry, which they can have because they use foam weapons. They don't require, you know, armor the way that we have to require armor because we're using rattan sticks, and that shit will hurt you badly if you get hit without it. So as the SCA has evolved, we have evolved into you know, having artisans and merchants and so on that can provide higher standards of armor for participation in this game. Now you can still walk out there, probably, maybe, I don't know, former Earl Marshal of the West Kingdom, you can tell me if I'm wrong, would carpet armor and a Freon helm pass now?
Helm, no. Armor would. I'm sorry, I realized I introduced.
But
to be honest, I've never gauged the thickness of the metal on a Freon can. But I bet you it actually meets the minimum requirements.
Probably. So you could still get out there, but it's all right. Sorry, Helga. I said your A name. But the point that I'm trying to make is that there is still a point where you can enter with, you know, you can enter with loaner armor. You don't have to pay something. If you can come to a fighter practice and make a connection, you can get somebody that will outfit you with the thing if you want to fight. I know I've got apparently like 8 sets of armor in my garage right now. So, and a lot of people, a lot of knights, a lot of long-term fighters in the SCA just kind of amass this stuff and kind of hoard it and set it aside and say like, yeah, Trust me, my garage is filled with this. That one day, you know, somebody's going to show up to a fighter practice and want to try it out. And well, I've got a thing that fits here and I can put it together in here, you know, and that more often than not, what I've seen is it's almost like, you know, no, take it. Just take it. Have fun with it. If you don't like it, bring it back. You know, like that kind of thing. You don't got to pay me for it. You don't got to leave me your driver's license so I know where you live and I have to come hunt you down like a library card of an overdue book. You know, it's just have fun with it. And so the SCA is incredibly facilitating. It can facilitate in that regard. But yes, if you want to outfit yourself, if you want to come in fully, you know, guns blazing, full set of armor and everything, it's going to cost you a pretty penny in the SCA. And I think a lot of times people see that as a requirement, and that's another rabbit hole we can go down, that idea that you have to show up fully formed with historically accurate, authentic kit and everything, which you don't. The SCA does not have to have that to start out.
I'll reinforce what you just said there. For those listening, for those who may be, you know, considering their entrance into fighting, you do not have to have the fully formed, you know, Gothic kit. You don't have to have the fully formed Norse kit. You don't have to have the fully formed anything kit. Come out, fight. Take the generosity of those who have the equipment to help outfit you. Come and be a part of the experience. We can deal with the, you know, beautifully presented, you know, armor kit down the road. We can help you make that happen. What we're really concerned about is your participation. Mm-hmm. Please be a part of what we do. We will help you make that happen. And when you're ready to take the next step, we'll help you make that happen too.
Yeah. The SCA is fundamentally a very helpful society. And
at its core, I absolutely agree with you. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, I think there are those who have been a part of the later part of the SCA who have diluted that concept. But I have to say, from somebody who has been a part of this my entire life, we want you here. We want you to be a part of what we're doing, and we will do whatever we can to make that happen.
Let's geek out.
Show up and geek.
Let's geek. We're a bunch of nerds. Let's do this.
All right, so we ready?
We
for the
need
next
help
question?
to play against other people. Please come and help us do that.
Yeah, I was about to say, so we're ready for the next question?
Yeah,
this question is charged as fuck.
Shall we move on?
Yeah, I was about to say, this question is charged as fuck, just so you know.
Oh, boy.
Oh, wait, never mind. I totally skipped one question.
No.
Never mind. The charged as fuck question is coming up after this question. My bad. This one, we'll do fine.
All
right. So this one comes from Sammy. Even the most sought-after instructors have to learn to teach at some point. What do you consider the most challenging thing for new teachers to overcome? What is your advice to anybody wanting to teach, but do not know how or where to start?
That's a pretty simple answer, actually. Understanding how the student learns. Mm-hmm. Understanding how somebody absorbs material is, I think, the very first aspect that a teacher must understand. Because after that, I mean, what is there to do? If you don't understand how somebody learns, then you're not going to be able to impart your wisdom to them.
Yep.
What was that? That was weird. Okay, so I've taught a lot in my previous life. I was a teacher. And I would say, especially when you're teaching adults, the hardest thing to learn, and it's, okay, I will say this is also true for children, but for more so for adults, the hardest thing for a teacher to learn is how to control the classroom when you have what I lovingly call class holes in it, which are people who take the class just to say they know more than you.
Right.
What's going on? I got a lot of this. I used to teach for years at costume college. I got a lot of very knowledgeable people in my classes. And one of the quickest ways to shut that down, and anyone who's teaching anything, especially with a bunch of other nerds, a nerd teaching other nerds, this is a risky run, is that the way to shut that down is to say at the beginning of the class, I will hold all questions until the end of the class. Questions and comments at the end of the class. And hold yourself to that. Do not, like, when you start to see somebody go, but, or, well, actually, that's my favorite. Well, actually, I will take that comment at the end of the class. We can discuss that at the end of the class. Or wait till my next fucking slide, for God's sake. I'm an asshole when I teach. I'm not a class hole. I like to actually sit in classes where I may know the material very well. I may actually be more knowledgeable than the instructor, but I want to sit there and I want to know what they say, what evidence they have, what research they've done, because it could be completely different than mine. They could have a completely different interpretation on something. They could have done research in an area that I didn't even know existed. I don't have all the answers. I may be a Laurel. I may have a master's degree. I may have like all of these like certifications and qualifications and all that shit, but I do not know everything. I can come into, if a high school age kid is teaching a class in an SCA event about something in my area of expertise, I want to go there. I want to hear what they're saying, because they may have found something I didn't. They may have a different interpretation that sheds light on a problem that I couldn't figure out, because all I can do is see with my blinders what's happening. And more people need to come into the class situation with an open mind of, let's see what this person has to offer. And if they're just going over the same stuff you already know, well, so be it. Somebody else may have had that epiphany. Someone else sitting in that class may have been like, oh my God, light bulb moment. And that is of huge value. But yes, class holes are a thing. And what you do to shut them the fuck down, oh God, I have so many opinions on this, is just say at the beginning of every class that you teach, I will hold all questions and comments to the end of the class. When they come back, if they come back with it, address it then. That's a really interesting point you make. I would actually really love to see that documentation. Here's my email address. Would you please send it to me? It diffuses it right away. It validates them too. It actually gives them a certain amount of validation, even though they want to be like, oh, I know more than you. Like what they're looking for is validation. And, you can give that benignly and kindly and just say, yeah, here's my email address. Send me that documentation. I'd really like to see that. And they never will. I think I've had it happen once in my entire life. But that was kind of a soapbox. So
that wasn't kind of a soapbox. No. That was a solid soapbox.
Okay.
I'll drink anyways, but I'll do it.
The Laurel has opinions.
Yep. So with that, I'm going to see if I can keep this a succinct answer. Okay. And to say that be willing to be wrong as an instructor, be willing to take feedback after, especially from your students. Your students
I'm never wrong. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Your students are actually going to be able to give you bigger holes in your like lexicon and how you're teaching than other teachers watching, because other teachers will watch with that eye of like, we're trying to develop another teacher, and typically they will actually come at you with a language that's more developed than yours currently right now. Your students will actually give you the best feedback, and so always seek feedback from your students afterwards. That's how you grow as a teacher, because it's going to give you where you are missing chunks for them to learn. And so you will be able to deepen your knowledge and present better next time. And don't be afraid of putting yourself out there. And I realize that this falls under the whole humility thing and like, I should wait to be asked and blah, blah, blah. Fuck that, actually. If you're a developing artist, if you're somebody that has knowledge or anything else like that, you can present yourself in a humble way without sitting on the sidelines and waiting for somebody to come to you. And it's a little bit of a crapshoot, but I'm going to tell you, start teaching early, teach often, take feedback, and continue to develop your skills. And it's scary as fuck. but keep doing it because that's how the society grows and gets better. And that's how we as knights and pelicans and laurels and mods give back to the society. And we can't wait for that peerage to become a teacher. It does not magically download. I can guarantee you there was no teaching credential that came with this. Exactly the opposite, actually. So just remember that. Teach early, teach often, teach even in small classes. Take the feedback and go from there.
Yeah.
I'll say this too. There are those who are uncomfortable with teaching.
Yeah.
Regardless of their station, of their title, of their rank. Understand who is comfortable with teaching.
Mm-hmm.
Understand who can do what you cannot. That's a part of the humility thing you spoke to of earlier.
Mm-hmm.
If you feel that you're not equipped to say, take a brand new person and bringing them into the fold and say, this is how you do things. Understand who is, and then point them in that direction.
Right.
Because frankly, teaching is a pretty specific skill. I could be the best fighter in the world, but if I don't understand teaching, there's no way I'm going to be able to impart it to the next person.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right.
Are we ready for the most charged question of the evening?
Uh-oh. Here we go.
And charged question of the evening. This is from Thane Sammy.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no, wait. Sorry. This is from Attilio Salvatore.
Salvatore.
Attilio Salvatore. I like saying that. As someone with an Italian persona that just rolls off the tongue. It's so nice. All right. Barbecue, gas, charcoal, or slow smoked?
I will say burning oak, no charcoal. I do enjoy my smoking, but if you're gonna do a barbecue, burning oak with some wood chips is the best way to go.
A lot of people are saying it depends on what you're cooking. So I don't know. Do you feel that's a qualification?
No.
Always?
I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not always practical.
Uh-huh.
But if you have the facilities and the materials available, you throw some wood on the fire, create a nice burning oak. If you want to change the flavor, throw in some wood chips of what you're trying to, do your thing to, and you're good to go.
I will say, I have really no horse in this race, so my answer is going to be whatever Brion says, because he's actually like cooked slow smoking, slow cooking, the smoker thing.
Let me preface with saying this.
Yeah.
My family is from Santa Maria. Santa Maria is known for its gaucho style barbecue.
Yeah.
Which means
Santa Maria style.
Deep giant wood burning barbecue pits, usually oak, aged meat, throw it on the grill, and you're good to go.
Yeah. Santa Maria style is fabulous, by the way. If you can find it, you should try it. If not,
come to my house, you'll find it.
Yeah, come to California, come to Brion's house, he'll do it. Helga?
I'm gonna say charcoal, in either like wood chip charcoal or like the little damn briskets, because one, I have family memories of them, and two, I can taste the flavor of gas, and most people add fake smoke to their slow cookers, and I cannot motherfucking stand liquid smoke. Like, do not violate my meat with that bullshit. Either do the goddamn job right. Don't.
What was that about violating your meat?
And then apply it.
This is why we asked Brion to be on.
Yep. So this is the thing. Don't put it in a can and apply it to my meat. Thank you very much. You either actually slow cook that shit or it's fucking charcoal.
I'm just gonna go with whatever somebody shoves in front of my face, I'll eat. I don't care. Not picky.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Careful what you say, Sarah.
Hey, girl. Hey.
Oh. No,
I
you
like how
both.
both
Okay,
Brian
no,
and I
this
just
is
got super creepy.
no. You know what happened is that this is where I realized my like strategic mistake and having Brian on, because it's literally Brian and Helga now teaming up against Tulia.
Are you saying we're double teaming you?
Okay.
Brian is easy because let me finish that. Because his mundane name and his SCA name is the same.
So, shall we go on to the next question?
Yes. Actually, I was going to just add in that one of the things that I've learned now about liquid smoke is that, yes, it's gross when it's misapplied, but I have found applications for it in cocktails, of all things, it's pretty good.
I just got this image of you like mixing a cocktail and then it just like drizzling the liquid smoke on you. Like, this is the application where it's tasty, not in the fucking drink. It's on you. Then I will fucking tolerate it.
So good. All right, we're gonna move on.
This episode is only going downhill from here.
Oh no, this is why we're doing this episode. Jesus, come on.
Have you met me?
All right, so the next question. This one comes from Randall. Party dad,
Randy.
Have you ever had to step in to protect someone from their own bad decision? Have you had someone step in to save you from your bad decision?
So this is probably not the most juicy answer, but yes, but I can't really recall specifics.
Or it's just like, yo, dude.
I like how Brian was like, I was raised in the SCA as a teenager. Do you think male hormones and bad decisions didn't fucking happen? Because they did.
Pretty much. And I've had plenty of... Well, okay, so I'll say this. As a 20 going on 30-something-year-old, there was a young lady who we were enamored of each other, let's say that. And she found herself in a situation where she had probably imbibed way too much at an underage situation. And as I pulled her aside, she understood probably her missteps and how that had probably involved some unfortunate situations. But we were able to pull her aside and make her understand the fact that maybe you shouldn't be drinking as a 16, 17-year-old and putting yourself in a position where folks might take advantage of you. And she was happy for the influence that I had in making her realize this.
So I have two answers to this, and one of them is I wish I was making bad decisions that people would stop me from, but the other side of it is that the bad decisions I was making that people tried to stop me from were like long-term relationships that at the start were basically people were like, oh, hey, kind of has a reputation for being an asshole. And I'm like, whatever, fuck off. I know what I'm doing. Pew, pew.
That's not cool of you to talk to me about that way.
Oh, Brian, you would never be one of those. Never in a billion years. And I like Helga's taking a big drink. I am not known for my good decisions with my dating material, but by God, I stick by them. I am a team player. I am loyal, and I am stubborn as fuck. So.
Team player, loyal, stubborn as fuck.
Let me just tell you, I love you so hard right now.
I love you too, Brian.
Hey, Brian, I get her first.
I don't know, man. Get in line.
How about at the same time?
She didn't say she was a team player.
I'd actually watch that. I'd pay for pay-per-view for that.
Well, you'd be in the center of it, so I'd hope so.
No. I'd be watching you guys fight to see who gets to me first.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
that sounds like a lot of fun
only
too.
have like NC-17 things to say right now.
This is rated R.
Bring it. We're rated R.
Terrible. Like, what are we fighting with?
Ooh.
Does it matter?
I mean, I'm gonna kick your ass either way. I got better cardio, but that's beside
Bring it, baby.
She's also got like 15 years on you, Bri.
But it's gonna be fun no matter what.
It is going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fucking fun. That would be a lot of fucking fun. Yeah,
I have some history with Helga, so
I'm sure.
I understand how fun it'll be.
I would say, like, the first West AnTir we get to go to, I would literally pay to like see you guys like mud wrestle or something. That would be fun.
All right, done.
I'll do a lot for a fundraiser.
We could raise some money like this. All right, I've answered my question.
Oh God, this means I get to answer the question now. Shit. Stepped in, protect somebody from their own bad decision. Oh yeah, a lot. Like that's my job at an SCA event, is to occasionally like be like breaks, honey, you don't want to go there. No, don't make me give you the scorecard. I made that decision beforehand. Like let's go this way. So, and has somebody stepped in to save me from my own bad decision? Yes, a lot. I would like to note I was a teenager within the SCA. I am a relatively sexually active creature within the SCA. There is a guarantee that I've made some terrible decisions, and people have politely stopped me from some terrible decisions because I have a much better moral code than I do now. My morals as in my 20s were a little lacking. Like,
I mean, but that's what your 20s are for, arguably.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm only
20s.
out of my 20s by a couple years, so
rub it in.
Okay, my early 20s. Can I say my early 20s?
Your early, absolutely. That's basically like your extended teens.
Okay, cool. Yeah, late teens, early 20s. Some very hardcore, dangerous decisions were made there. And luckily, I have some great friends that would step in and be like, "Listen here, you horny bitch. Fuck off. No, don't do this." And be like, "Fine." Then I would skitter off. So, yeah, I have definitely been rescued.
I have a great story for you guys. For those outside the kingdom, we had, I should say, sadly enough, a member of our kingdom by the name of Obadiah the Obstreperous.
Yeah. Duke off.
Obadiah was known for his
I know what you're going to do.
Propensity for a good time.
I know.
And here we are at a Purgatorio coronation up in the northern reaches of our kingdom. And I was maybe 16.
Oh, this 100% counts as a no shit there I was.
Yes. All right.
For drinking.
No
Get your
shit,
ride,
there I
baby.
was. So this coronation event has been historically my birthday event, because it was around my birthday. And I'm all of 16, in my cups, boisterous as all could be. And Obadiah, as Prince of Sinagua, pulls me aside. And for those who know Obadiah, will find this rather dismaying, considering his rather storied personality.
Dismaying or awesome.
Right. Pulls me aside and says, "Brian, you need to tone it down."
Ob's telling you to tone it down.
Yes. Now, in the general sense, this seems like, what the hell? But I understand I was underage and in my cups, and Obadiah, as the Prince of Sinagua, was, "Brian, you're going to get us in trouble." But yes, I understand what you're talking about, in that, 16-year-old, probably a little bit beyond the pale, as it were. Had a good time. And Obadiah, as the example of taking it too far, tells me to tone it down.
So honestly, the stories of Ob stories can just occupy an entire anthology.
Yeah, we could do an entire episode of that.
That man was legendary.
Yes.
Legend.
And we miss him greatly.
Yeah.
So the saving myself from somebody saving me from myself stories. I actually have the best. Like, this is gonna be the no shit where I was story with Ob walking up to me at a war while I'm standing around like 20 other people, and he was like, "Was it you and some dude that snuck into my house 2 days ago?" I was just like, "Bob," like left. Son of a bitch.
That sounds like a perfect Ob story.
We're just standing in this huge crowd of people, and I'm just like, I legitimately don't know how to respond to this.
Yeah. Ob was a legend.
Yes,
he was. All right, so are we ready for the
May
last
his memory be a
question?
blessing.
Let's bring it on.
All right. So this is the bonus question, but we probably could go for a little longer if y'all want. So this is from Kay. You get a free pass to do whatever you want at any event in the known world, but once you use it, it vanishes. What is the one thing you would do, and what event would you use it at?
All right. Well, the largest event in the SCA is Penzig.
Mm.
I think I would probably climb my way to the top of the center parapet at the castle of Penzig and say I'm the king of the world.
I'm the king of the world.
Exactly.
That's pretty good.
Well, maybe I would say the king of the known world. But...
Oh, that would be really good. King of the known world. I really think too that like all memory of it can also vanish.
Sure, whatever.
Yeah, right.
No, I'm too egotistical for that.
I want to remember the shit I get up to.
I want everybody to be like, "Oh, I remember the time when you were like proclaiming yourself king of the world."
True. Okay.
Oh,
Helga.
This one's terrible for me. This one's like there's so many dirty things.
Yeah, it's a hard one, isn't it?
It is hard.
This one's super hard, actually. Like I've seen this question on here for like 2 days. I should know an answer to this question, and I just fucking don't, because like I get a free pass to do whatever I want at any event in the known world, but once I use it, it vanishes. And so there's like, should I use this for good? Should I use this for shenanigans? Like
shenanigans.
Shenanigans.
Always shenanigans.
What are you talking about?
Well, shenanigans. Okay, so realistically, we all understand that I'm a fucking paladin by nature. So I look at this and I'm like, free pass to do whatever I want in an event, and then it vanishes once it's done. Like, what would I do? I would take all the power players in the SCA and sit down and have a moderated conversation about like how the SCA goes forward. But that's boring as fuck to answer that.
Yeah.
Like,
but
I'm
also
just gonna literally I'm gonna zombie call them all into like a single conversation where we can all like develop a single plan and then move forward. Like once we leave, like cool, like I have spent my one for the good of the SCA. Cool,
for fuck's sake.
So like a free pass to do whatever I want at any event in known world, but once like it vanishes, there is 100% a very married Duke that I would bang the ever loving shit out of, but I would have to get a hall pass from his wife, and she would cut me like 7 ways from Sunday. So like there would be my one hall pass. Like she would give me a free pass, and hopefully he'd be interested. But like my hall pass would be wasted on like her permission.
You better tell me on chat later.
I know, right?
I'm not saying shit on this show. So yeah, there we go. Like that would be a one and done that would be worth it.
I'm such a Girl Scout. Like I'm like, I don't want to do anything that would upset anybody, but if nobody had memory of it, I would totally sit in the Western Thrones. I would totally just sit in there. I would just be like, bitches, what? Yeah, but I would never do that because we would all have to have the memory of it. So, no, it's not cool.
All right, so I got a story I got to share. So, over the years, I have been blessed with the notion, or blessed with the fact that I've been able to refurbish the Western crowns of the Kingdom of the West.
Mm-hmm.
Back when Duke Alden was king of the West, I was one of his guardsmen, and it was shortly after I'd done a refurbishment of the crowns, and he had to go to the Priv. So I'm outside the Priv.
Do you want to admit what you're about to admit?
No, this is fine.
Okay.
So I'm sitting outside the Priv. I'm holding the Western crown, and Alden's in the Priv, and somebody comes walking up. I don't know who it was. They're like, "Oh, so whose crown is that?" I'm like, "It's the Western crown."
Boy.
It's like, "Oh no, that's not the Western crown. I've lived in various houses where the Western crown was held. This is not the Western crown." I'm like, "I assure you, it's the Western crown."
Because at this point, there's probably only one of them.
What's that?
I said at this point, there's only one of them that's being used.
Yes, absolutely. So I was sitting there holding it, and I try to convince him, like, no, they've just been, buffed up and polished and all this kind of stuff, and he finally fucks off. And out comes the king, and he's laughing the entire time. He goes, "I really don't think he believed you." So I'm holding the crowds. I'm like, "I made these happen. I know that they're the Western crowns. I've lived in the house of the Western crowns for several reigns. I promise you, these are the Western crowns." Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say you actually were going to put it on. And I was like, he would never do that.
I would never do such a thing.
Never, ever.
Have you met me?
I did have a moment as guard where I caught the Western crown because a very drunk king tried to set the Western crown on my head, and I dodged, but then I ended up belly diving to catch the crown because he had let it go.
Are you kidding me?
Should we explain?
There was a time at Penzic at the Vlad slave auction where the King of the West.
I'm thinking we should drink whenever anyone brings up Penzic.
All right,
that one time at Penzic.
At Penzic, at the Vlad slave auction, the King of the West decided he would I'll put my crown on you, whoever chippy you are. And instantly, 3 or 4 knights of the kingdom, flocked upon the king. "Are you sure this is the best idea you should have at the moment?"
Huh.
Much.
Literally, my little Western toe beans went.
Your toe beans
exactly
retracted into your body.
Ooh, hard no, and that's one of the weird things, with all the kingdoms, and those crowns in all kingdoms are sacred to me. So the whole people are passing around and weighing them. I'm just like,
nope. And I felt like we should mention to the viewers who may not be familiar with Western custom or who are new to the SCA in general, in the West, drink.
You guys are getting me really drunk right now.
I'm sorry. No, you wanted this. You asked for this. Sorry, that was really weirdly shamey of me. I didn't mean to come across.
It was really weirdly dommy of you.
Oh, also, I'm a bossy bottom. So the thing is, though, that the crowns of the West are incredibly sacred. This is the thrones. That's why I was like, I will not sit in the throne unless I am legitimately supposed to sit in that. I will not wear the crown even as a joke. Even if the queen walks up and is like, "LOL," fuck off. No.
I agree.
What Helga did. Yeah, that's not cool. That's not cool. It passes from one king to the next, from one queen to the next.
An unbroken line of success.
Unbroken since 1966. And we do not fuck around with that.
Not exactly, but close.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Okay, those particular crowns did not come in until AS9.
So the several
And-
crowns of the West did not come until AS10.
Yeah.
Prior to that were the bronze crowns of the West, which were like, I want to
They
say
have some
AS3 or
technicalities.
4.
Yes.
But yeah.
Yeah. But
Since the first crowned king of the West was Duke Henrik with a crown he made himself. And beyond that, the crowns he made for the kings of AS10 have been used in an unbroken line of succession since then.
Yeah. So, do we want to do a bonus question?
Yeah,
If
bring
we're
it.
doing if we're doing a bonus question, I'm going pee real quick. I'll be right back.
Okay, go
Go
pee.
pee.
Hey, Brian,
Yeah,
how's it going?
great.
How you doing?
I'm drunk as fuck right now.
What? No way.
You think?
I miss you, man. This is the interlude. It's just gonna be me being like, I miss you, and you being like, no, I miss you.
I miss you.
Shut up. No, I miss your lady. Your lady is the raddest lady of all time.
She is the best.
She really is. Ula, who has been one of our previous guests. I forget the number because I'm a piece of shit, but she is also.
I am.
What was that, Ula?
She said drink some damn water, and I am.
Tedious. Anyways, Ula is also one of now randomly kind of part of our crew. She is doing the voiceovers for and putting together our commercials. So
Yeah.
you hear a beautiful lilting lady voice. That is our lovely Ula.
Because Ula is the awesomest.
Yes, in fact, she is 3,000% the awesomest ever. But oh, and another thing that I keep forgetting to mention, and I'm going to mention it right now while I still have it in my brain, is that our music, our little musical interlude at the beginning and the end credits of our show is by Alessandro, Master Alessandro,
Nice.
our wonderful, West Kingdom jewel. He
Yes.
is the conductor. I was going to say conductor, but he does conduct, but he is also the person responsible for the West Kingdom choir, and they do all sorts of wonderful music, and they're still doing cool shit, and they're still
Who lives like miles, just a few miles?
yeah, he's just a couple of miles up the road. Yeah, Ben Lomond. Is he in Ben Lomond?
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, so that's our wonderful friend who does the beautiful music. So thank you for being here for that. Okay, Helga's back. Let's have questions.
All right. So since it's my turn, am I choosing the bonus question?
Yeah, you chose choose the bonus question.
Okay, I'm going for completely radical here.
Oh God,
This one's from Luxa.
Luxia.
Bonus
Mhm.
question: boobs or butt, and why?
Boobs, for sure.
Think about it.
The most beautiful, sumptuous aspect of a woman.
Mm. Brian's a boob dude. Everybody
I
knows.
am.
He's
I
like
admit it.
legendarily a boob guy. For me, because I'm a costumer and I have to take the entire body into account, I will say boobs are what my eye is drawn to immediately. Also because I'm usually eye level with them. I'm so short. I can't not see them. But the entire female figure is incredibly pleasing to
Hear, hear.
my eye. So that takes into account boobs and butt. But I will say, I think I'm actually probably a boob girl. Just because usually, yeah, I have to look at them because they're exactly eye level almost every situation. Helga.
I'm going to defer here and say butt. A nice butt is good for grabbing and hanging on to. It is good for spanking, and it is fantastic to watch it walk away when you're done.
Fair enough. All right, guys.
So with that, shall I wrap up the show?
Let us.
Okay. So I want to thank everybody for coming out this evening. Brian, do you have any shows that you would like to shout out? Other content you would like to shout out?
Sure. So I don't have any shows going on right now, but I will say my father has recently produced a fantastically, I don't know,
Comprehensive. Yeah.
God, I'm totally blanking here. Picking my dad's book. It's really good. The Bellatrix system is fantastic. It's it will be a fantastic reference for fighting, as well as a step-by-step to become a better fighter in what we do in the SCA. For sure, the Bellatrix system is the best way to go.
By Paula Bellatrix.
Yes.
Yep.
Paul Porter. Yes.
Miss Tulia?
Available on Amazon, as far as I know.
Oh, nice. Send me a link. I'll get it posted in our Discord.
Yeah, we will absolutely pimp the shit out of that. Because,
Sure.
By the way, everything you know in the SCA about fighting is probably due to Brian's dad. Well, maybe not everything, but a large fucking part of it.
Yeah.
Is his father. So it has a
And
lot
if you ever have any questions as to
Mhm.
the Bellatrix system and my participation in general, please feel free to contact me directly.
Cool. So I have not had anything to add to this. In fact, during the interlude, when you were off going to the Wiz Palace, Helga, I wanted to mention, because I feel like we aren't remembering to mention some very important things about the show, which is that the music is done by Master Alessandro from the West Kingdom, who is fabulous and wonderful, and was so kind to approach us and say, hey, I created this original piece of music, and would you guys want to play it during the show? And we were like, hells to the fucking yes. And also Brian's beautiful, wonderful lady, Ula, who is now helping us produce commercials and doing the voiceovers for those commercials. So if you hear her lilting voice, that is our lovely Ula. But yeah, I haven't watched in the last week anything new or interesting. So that was my pitch to give props to the people who help our show be awesome.
Yep.
Helga.
So I kind of blanked on like who I was gonna throw props to tonight. And so I'm gonna actually say I'm gonna throw props to our sister shows, because it's actually like shows now. There is a ton of content out there, and there's a lot of people that, because COVID has continued to be the pandemic that keeps us all indoors, there's a lot more SCA online content, and so I'm gonna pimp out. I'm going to say thank you to those teachers who are reaching and stretching and learning how to do this digitally, continuing to do so. Like this weekend, AnTir has a collegium, pew pew, which is fucking awesome. Besides, I'm teaching at 11 o'clock tomorrow, hopefully not hungover.
She texted me like at 4 o'clock today and went, I just realized I'm teaching tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah. Wait, Baby Ninja, where?
North Shield.
Oh, so North Shield also has a collegium. But I also must remember to mention our sister shows, Askanites and Outlands Royal Tea. Go check them out. Askanites is amazing. They're currently doing like roundtable discussions on the virtues. And it's been really enlightening to see, because those like the virtues are always the hardest thing to define, and they're having some really good, healthy conversations, including some debates. It's not like a unanimous idea behind what this is. They're actually debating what's going on. Yes, sir.
Oh, I was gonna like throw out a couple more, because we're awful people and we keep forgetting to plug our friends' shows. So first of all, we have Calbard's Corner. Cal and you are going to be having a show on Monday night, Unpack Your Shit.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
The other is Kunhild's, that she does with Ula and Bercy, the Saga Saturday, which is going to be tomorrow at 11 a.m., right? I think it's 11 a.m.
Right.
And one more, I thought, and Baroness Anne mentioned plugging the Known World Entertainment Guide. So you don't have to rely on us mention any of these shows, you can just go on Facebook to the Known World Entertainment Guide and get all of the available content that is currently being produced, at least that we know about, and you know when it is happening and where you can find it. Known World Entertainment Guide.
Yep. Yeah. So with that, I'm going to wrap up the show. I'm going to say thank you, everybody, for showing up and continuing to watch and support the show. Please remember that if you have merchant friends, tell them we want more commercials. We've actually run out of merchants, so now we're just recycling commercials. And we would love to support the merchants in the SCA. So we have a little form. It's a quick fill out. You don't have to provide the commercial. We have a crew for that. They're amazing and wonderful. So please let us make commercials for you, please. And beyond that, next week we have 2 episodes. So Wednesday is Duke John the Bear Killer, who is the president of the SCA. So I'm just going to challenge all of you watching, send in those questions, because it's not going to be a boring show about how the SCA runs. I would like to get to know this man as he is, and I've heard his snark goes to 11.
I'm really excited.
I'm super excited too. And then Friday we have I'm gonna pronounce it wrong. Sarah, you're supposed to save me.
You said my name, you bitch.
Jess, we have Jess.
I'm not drinking.
Zara, Baroness Zara, who is the diversity,
equity and inclusion
officer for the society. So yes. Sorry, Zara.
Yeah. So 2 episodes next week. We're looking forward to it. Also tune into those other shows out there. Give them your likes, shares, and supports. And then come and hang out with us on the Discord during the week. We get some pretty sassy commenting going on. And beyond that, remember, likes equal doggo treats. And right now we're at 61.
And kiddo treats, by the way. I need to get my cats. I have 3 cats, so you know. There's gonna be a lot of fucking treats.
Likes equals treats. Like, this is how this rolls. Let's make our pets fat during COVID.
Oh, they don't need any help.
So with that, we'll see y'all next week, and thank you so much.
And if I could, thank you very much to both of you for hosting the show. This has been fantastic. I appreciate you bringing me on too.
Thank you so much for joining us. It's been a blast. So
good night, guys.
Good night, all.
Night.
Good night.